Who doesn't love strong Belwas? He got top 40 in my Kingsguard ranking and top 10 in Kiwat's, despite not being, a proper Kingsguard. He's a big, bald baby with a tiny vest whose sole goal in life is his next meal of liver and onions. In the swirling Miranese plot full of false identities, spies, assassins, and schemers, he's a rare island of dependable stupidity. Or that's what you thought. For today we dare to ask the question, what if Big Brain Belwas? The first thing that got me onto this was what I've already mentioned, Strong Belwas's character. Because it's curious to me that when sending two people halfway across the world to go and fetch Daenerys and her dragons, Illyrio chose Strong Belwas as one of them. Compare him to his travelling companion, Arston Whitebeard, also known as Barristan the Bold Selmy, who is useful to Daenerys in so many different ways. He's a great fighter, of course, even if he is a bit old, easily dispatching 2 assassination attempts against her, and later beating Kraz, a pit fighter and supposedly one of the best. But that's just the opening line of his CV. He can command armies and offer counsel. As a Westerosi who served at Aerys' side, Dany warms to him, and he is able to tell her things about her father and brother that others couldn't, which makes her more trusting of him. Barristan's nature as well is not to overly sugarcoat things, so if, as Illyrio, you want to avoid Dany following down Aerys' path, then Basil will be able to tactfully illustrate why that path is maybe not so good. The biggest thing he offers that no one else can is legitimacy. Everyone knows Big Basil the Bold. Everyone knows he's the most honourable, daring knight of all time. So when he picks a side, people will sit up and take notice. He's also one of the last bastions of Targaryen rule, so having him on side means there is continuity. It helps the pill of Targaryen restoration go down just a bit smoother. And any lords concerned about betraying Joffrey or Tommen or whoever sits the Iron Throne when Daenerys shows up, can comfort themselves that if Barristan Selmy did it, then it must be okay. Contrast this with Strong Belwas, who we are told is a good fighter. And that's it. Daenerys initially even doubts his effectiveness as a protector, thinking him childlike and a braggart. All he does is eat and boast. In fact, when she chooses him as her champion when sieging Meereen, it's precisely because he is so expendable. He is the one she can afford to lose. So considering this, why did Illyrio send Strong Belwas, when presumably he could have sent a lot of people? What does Strong Belwas bring to the table, besides being a good pit fighter? Of course, to answer that question, we need to try to at least take a stab at what exactly Illyrio wants. After all, the initial Varys Illyrio plan was apparently for Viserys to invade Westeros with the Dothraki, then for young Griff to arrive and clean up, becoming king. However, this plan, if indeed it ever was the real plan, which I seriously doubt, dies with Viserys and Khal Drogo. The new plan, articulated by Illyrio to Tyrion in Dance, is for young Griff to marry Daenerys and for the two to invade Westeros together, now that it's so destabilized, which Varys is doing his best to ensure. We don't know precisely when this plan would have been adopted, but at the latest it got formed after news of Viserys and or Khal Drogo's death reached Illyrio. Strong Belwas is therefore probably telling the truth when he says that what Illyrio wants is dragons and the girl who makes them. What Illyrio is not saying is that Dany will be expected to marry young Griff and at best rule jointly, but more likely be the junior partner. How much Strong Belwas knows about any of that is anyone's guess. So all Illyrio really needs then is someone to contact Dany and bring her back, protecting her along the way. But it's generally best to plan for contingencies, and anything could happen. So really Illyrio would like some of his own trusted people on the ground to deal with problems as they arise. Barristan is definitely not that. We see inside his head in Dance and he does not have any secret instructions from Illyrio, and he's about the worst person to carry them out if he did have them, what with his honour and low intrigue score. This leaves the second spot on the mission as the most obvious place to put Illyrio's agent, and in that spot is Strong Belwas. The first suspicious thing about Strong Belwas arrives as he does. At the end of Clash, Dany and Jorah are wandering through a dockside market in Karth, looking for ships that will get them away, as Dany has pissed off the warlocks and exhausted the hospitality of Xaro, Zoe and Daxos. However, basically nobody will take her, because she doesn't have the funds and all the sailors are scared that the dragons will burn their ships. Then Dany realizes she's being followed by 2 men, Strong Belwas and Barristan. Barristan is at least attempting to be subtle, but Belwas just keeps staring at her. Dany thinks, only fools would stare so openly if they meant me harm. Just as she is deciding to go and confront them, somebody steps up and offers her a gift, a box containing a lovely jewelled manticore. As she opens the box though, the manticore turns out to be real, and the bloke who gave it to her says, "I am so sorry. which is the thing the sorrowful assassins say when they kill you. Before the manticore can sting her, though, Barristan knocks it out of her hand and crushes it. In the ensuing chaos, Jorah and Strong Belwas draw swords on each other, and Dany's Blood Riders attack Barristan, but luckily she's able to intercede and explain that they're all on the same side. So what's the issue with this? Well, first take the astonishing coincidence that the sorrowful assassin chose to strike at the exact moment Belwas and Barristan were in range to help, and indeed right before what would probably have been an angry confrontation where Belwas and Barristan might not have been listened to. This coincidence cannot really be overstated for how suspicious it is. As Jorah asks Dany later at the start of Storm, has it occurred to you that Whitebeard and Belwas might have been in league with the assassin? It might all have been a ploy to win your trust. Dany brushes this off, but it is the most obvious explanation, especially when you account for a bunch of other things. One is that the sorrowful assassin escapes, so is never able to be questioned, and part of the reason why he escapes is because of the chaos of the attack, which is in no small part Belwas' doing. First by making it so obvious that he's following them, thus arousing their suspicions and focusing them on him, then by shoving Jorah over and drawing his arak during the fight, thus distracting Jorah from the assassin. The second big thing is that the sorrowful assassin fails, when Dany tells us in Storm that the sorrowful men never fail to kill. The I am so sorry part of this is key. The assassin says it before the manticore has actually stung Dany. Indeed, it's so early that if Dany had heard and registered it, she'd have realised what was going on. The reason she doesn't is because she's so distracted by the shiny thing. The manticore does get on her hand, but doesn't sting her. And then when Barristan sends it flying, it lands on the merchant who's been trying to sell him a brass platter for the last couple pages, but doesn't sting him either. So as assassination methods go, Manticore is seemingly very hit or miss, or perhaps only miss. If this assassination attempt was always meant to fail, just a ploy to win Dany's trust as Jorah suggests, then you wouldn't want to actually kill her. Therefore, rather than going for an old-fashioned but reliable stabbing or crossbow bolt from an alleyway, you go for something that looks very frightening but could be entirely harmless. Perhaps this is a non-venomous manticore if such a thing exists, or it's been the manticore equivalent of declawed. The question of who sent the sorrowful man is not really answered. In Storm, Dany remembers that it was Pyat Pree, but we never get the scene where she concludes that it's Pyat Pree, or even supposes that it's Pyat Pree, so what this is based on, who knows. And given Illyrio's goal, the guaranteed to fail assassination attempt serves to do more than just win brownie points for Barristan and Belwas. It shows that she is in great danger where she is, and needs to get out ASAP, so Illyrio's boats look even more inviting than they already would have. Before we move on, I'd just like to mention that on the journey to Pentos, before it gets redirected, Strong Belwas successfully gets everyone to call Barristan Whitebeard rather than Arstan, which is a name right out of the Ben Kenobi school of secret identities. So he's showing a bit of intrigue skill there to mop up after Barristan's blundering. The next noticeable thing is Belwas' fight that Dany chooses him for. Belwas wins the fight partly through speed and skill, but also through cunning, outthinking his opponent. He waits out each of Osnak Zopal's charges, jumping out of the way at the last second each time, and then when Osnak tries to catch him out on the third run, he's predicted this and does something different, injuring Osnak's horse to get him to the ground and then defeating him. Belwas won the fight not just because he's a good fighter, but also because he's a smart fighter. Certainly smarter than the likes of Kraz, for example, or other pit fighters we see later on in the book. Before the fight, Dany wonders if Strong Belwas will save her from her next assassination attempt, as Jorah and Arstan saved her from the previous two. Actually, he skips the one immediately after his fight, when Mero the Titan's bastard tries to kill her but is stopped by Arstan, but it's the next assassination prevention where Big Brain Belwas reaches its epic conclusion. The honeyed locusts. Everyone and their mum has a theory about the honeyed locusts and who poisoned them. Was it Hizdar, or the shave paint, or the House of Parl? Was Dany the target, or was it Hizdar, or Strong Belwas himself? Were they actually not poisoned at all? This gets even more murky when you add in meta stuff, like the fact the locusts weren't poisoned in an early draft, or Gurm apparently saying that the Miranese blot author Adam Feldman, who reckons shave paint did it, gets it. Though that is not necessarily to do with the theory, but possibly more the themes and characters. Or at least it seems that way. I can't find the original quote anywhere. Good grief, this is well over a decade ago. Where was I? Oh, the honeyed locusts. So, disregarding everything you previously thought about the locusts, let me put it to you that this assassination attempt is just as badly executed as the sorrowful assassin one. A bowl of locusts is poisoned in a hospitality box which has loads of people in it. Hizdar, Dany, and Strong Belwas, but also Iri and Jiki, Reznak Mo Reznak, and Barristan are also mentioned. What are the odds that your target will eat the locusts at all? And if they do, what are the odds that they will eat enough of them? The poison is weak enough that strong Belwas survives eating all of the locusts. Now it could be that only some were poisoned, maybe even only one, so if Danny had happened to eat that one then she would have died, as Belwas supposedly only survives because he's big and strong. However, if one locust is poisoned, then you have a different problem, which is what are the odds that your target will eat that locust specifically? Depending on the range of possibilities of poison, some of the locusts will get eaten, multiple people, possibly including your target, will get slightly poisoned or not at all. Maybe someone might die if they hit the poisoned one, but it's anyone's guess who that would be. If anything, this assassination attempt is even more botched than the Sorrowful Man one. Then consider how things actually play out. As soon as they enter the box and Danny is looking at all the food, Strong Belwas immediately dives in, screaming locusts, and eats the entire bowl pretty much immediately, sweating profusely as he does so. It is this that prompts Hisdar to offhandedly mention that Danny should try one. He doesn't bring it up himself, he only mentions it once, and he expresses no concern that Belwas is eating the entire bowl, which he probably would do if he was the poisoner and Danny the target. In Barristan's memory, he turns this into Hisdar needling and badgering Danny to eat the locusts, but in reality it's nothing like that. Belwas has finished the bowl midway through the second fight, so Hisdar doesn't even have any time to offer the locusts again, or try one himself, so it's not even as if that's suspicious. Now, Hisdar is quite good at controlling his emotions, but he does have several lapses in this chapter, one where he looks angry when Danny forbids the dwarf lion fight, and one massive one when Drogon lands and his weird dragon lust and then more understandable fear is worn on his sleeve. So if he was the poisoner, we might expect a little more indication of concern when Belwas devours all his poison. Instead, he ignores Belwas even when he starts complaining of pain. I can understand why people still think Hisdar did it, for many reasons, but while I don't think he wishes Danny well, this method of poison just doesn't seem like the way to go. The shave paint is probably the best other option, and he may be the only one who would employ this kind of method, where it doesn't really matter who lives and who dies, because the shave paint might just want chaos so he can seize control. But even he would probably have been better off with a stronger poison, otherwise he risks just everyone feeling a little bit ill after eating one or two locusts, which wouldn't exactly bring down the government. So if the method of poison is so bad as to be utterly useless, even to a chaos merchant who doesn't care who it kills, then who poisoned the locusts? The answer? Strong Belwas. Consider, Belwas is the only one who knows what he's gonna do, and what he does as soon as they get in, before anyone has a chance to do anything, is launch in, scream locusts, grab said locusts, and eat all said locusts, without offering one to anyone else. It's not like this is his favourite food, liver and onions, it's just a food, and we've seen him offer people food before, offering Danny a bit of his dog, for example. And does he even seem to like locusts? Liver and onions are not known for being spicy, whereas these locusts very much are, and Belwas doesn't seem to have a strong spice tolerance given how much he's sweating. But still, he eats them all. In terms of how he could have done this, it's very easy. Perhaps he didn't even need to poison the locusts. If he had some poison on him, he could just have taken it. Perfectly dosed, of course, so as to be pretty bad but not kill him. The drawing attention to the locusts could just be so that everyone thinks it was those that were poisoned, meaning they think it's an assassination attempt on Danny. Indeed, it could be that he takes the poison with a swig of wine that he has after finishing the locusts. But why, you ask, would Strong Belwas poison himself? What's the point? Well, consider what the outcome of his poisoning will be. Daenerys will think another assassination attempt has happened, and it happened in Hisdar's box with the food he laid on. She's already paranoid about all the betrayals she's had, even thinking things are betrayals that aren't really, like Barristan pretending to be Arstan, or Miriam Azdua's medical malpractice. Add to that Jorah and Brown Ben Plum, and you have someone ready to believe that Hisdar wants her dead. Even if she doesn't pin it on Hisdar, it's another reason to give up on trying to save Meereen, as they keep trying to kill her. Strong Belwas was sent with one task, to get Dany and her dragons back to Pentos. If Dany renounces Hisdar and imprisons him, she probably won't be able to stay in Meereen for much longer, whereas if the current situation is allowed to continue, there is a risk that Hisdar's peace with Yunkai will succeed, and Dany will stay in Meereen where she is useless to Illyrio. Or, alternatively, Dany may be overthrown by Hisdar, or the myriad factions that want her dead. Meereen is a death trap, and Strong Belwas needs to get her out of it somehow. Yet another fake assassination attempt is one of the few weapons in his arsenal. And, lest we forget, Belwas poisoning himself would kind of fit with his character. After all, one of his catchphrases is the boast that he lets all his enemies cut him once before he kills them, something he backs up in his fight with Osnak. So, that is that. Belwas may seem simple, But as with all of Danny's advisors, past, present, and future, he has secrets and is working for other people. He's smarter than he lets on, shown by his means of victory over Oznak, and the 2 botched assassinations are both suspicious in how coincidental the first one is and how inept the second is. One unanswered question is why Belwas would be working for Illyrio. Is it just money? A claim to Westerosi lands as Lord Belwas of House Strong? Unlimited liver and onions? Whatever it is, no doubt when Daenerys finds out, it will be another one to crowbar into being one of her 3 betrayals, and another dent to her psyche, another data point to back up the hypothesis that it's not paranoia if they all really are out to get you. Oh, and P.S., the idea that maybe the wine was poisoned and not the locusts actually offers a much more reasonable assassination method. Dany does drink wine, whereas she has never been seen to have much interest in locusts, and attention is called to the fact that she doesn't drink any wine in his dad's hospitality box, which would be why she dodges the poison on this occasion. So if the wine was poisoned, then suddenly the traditional theories start to make much more sense. But whatever. Until next time, thanks for watching, and goodbye.